Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Beach Volleyball Podcast. My name is Mark Burrick, and today we've got our co host, Logan Weber, who is going to give us all of his knowledge, opinions, and everything that he thinks about what's going on in the Paris 2024 Olympics. We are just, as of today, it's Monday, July 29th, so we're about 3 days into the competition. And we are going to talk a lot about that and then a little bit about some of our recent and upcoming camps. So, just to give you guys a head start, if you click any of the links around this video, or if you're listening to the podcast, we've got free 36 drills, a free drill book for you waiting below. And we're also starting to give away a free course with our app. We just recently released a new version of our app soon. The Google version will be done, but right now it's only on Apple. And if you download that app, the Better at Beach online app, you can go and find it, and then you will get a free Intro to Fundamentals course with it, as well as our 36 favorite drills for beach volleyball. If you're watching on YouTube, we also got a link below right now for my favorite workout brand, our 60-day max vertical workout program, which is only $37 right now. It's on sale as a standalone product, as well as our Fix Your Arm Swing in 21 days. Now, if you're watching on video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share the screen of our upcoming camps and tell you a little bit of them. So me and Logan actually just finished coaching a camp up in Bend, Oregon, which was awesome. And we will be coming back there. And it turns out that 2/3 of the people who came to Bend, Oregon for our camp were not even close to from that area. So it was a really cool event, and really want to thank Bend Beach Volleyball and Colton Nail for hosting us up there with the NPJ Juniors program as well. Now, coming up, we've got August 9th to 11th in Austin, Texas at ATX Beach. If you don't know, ATX Beach was just built. It is now the largest beach volleyball facility in Austin, something that they have a community can really get together in big groups. And they're going to have adult leagues. They're going to have a juniors program, adult training programs, and we are going to be there as well, multiple weekends throughout the year. So August 9th to 11th, come celebrate my birthday weekend with me in Austin, Texas at ATX Beach. And we're running a 3-day all levels and all ages camp there. August 23rd to 25th, we've got 2 camps going on. One of them's in Huntsville, Alabama, and the other one is in Hermosa Beach. The Hermosa Beach camp's really small. Huntsville, we've got a lot of room for everybody. And September 6th to 8th, we're going to New Orleans, Louisiana. And then we will be back at Asheville, North Carolina, September 13th to 15th. But some really, really exciting ones are our bigger camps. So we finally got this in play. We are coming to Miami for a week of single-day sessions, but anybody who signs up for our camp is going to get a ticket to the Queen and King of the Court event that is running there. They're official partners. And we're going to be in Miami from September 23rd until the 27th. And if you sign up for the camp, you'll also have a chance to get that upgrade where you can get a King and Queen of the Court jersey, a BAB special edition jersey, and tickets to the King and Queen of the Court event in Miami, Florida. Shortly after that, a month after that, for Halloween, we are going to be October 27th to November 3rd. We're going to be back at our spot at the Postcard Inn in St. Pete Beach. And right now, we are in the early bird discount. So if you want to save $125, you can book for the next 2 weeks to come to St. Pete Beach with us for our full 7-day camps. And we do have a coming camp in Long Island, New York at North Beach Volleyball, November 22nd to 24th. But we've got our all-inclusive international event. If you want to come and hang out with us at an all-inclusive resort in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, that is happening November 30th to December 6th. So lots of exciting things happening, lots of events, and we're super excited about really all of them. So we hope you guys join us. You can check out more information on the links around this video, as well as if you're listening to this podcast, the link will be down below. And if you click on anything, you'll have the chance to get our free drill book. Now, let's get to what we're talking about here. Logan, since you're competing against all these guys, since you've seen and played against, I think you told our campers in Bend, you said you've played against literally every team in the Olympics. I want to get your words, opinions on all of the matches currently happening. And I guess we could start with the men's side. So, how do you think the Olympics are going?
Well, obviously this morning, Qatar upsetting Sweden was a big one that I don't think a lot of people anticipated there in pool play.
Wasn't that wild?
Yeah, I didn't watch it live, and when I was waiting to get on to do this podcast, I was just watching it, and the first set was exactly how you figured it would go. It was 21-15 Sweden with like 8 or 9 wide open net swings on options or jump sets. And then I got like 5 points into the second set, and it was Sweden up 4-1 with like 3 Helvig blocks in a row on Sharif. And I was like, man, I'm really interested to see how Qatar managed to turn that around, because right now it just looks like absolute Sweden domination, like you kind of would have figured.
Right. They've been just rolling through teams. I mean, in the last few events, the last few months, they've been a clear number one. And
yeah, it's impressive. Sorry, my guitar was giving me some feedback there. It's really impressive to see, like, with so much parity in beach volleyball on the men's and the women's side. It's wild when you see a team that like makes the finals in 8 straight tournaments, kind of like Norway did back a few years ago before the Tokyo Olympics. It's incredible to just see how well they pass the ball. Sweden does. Like, a lot of teams now see how effective the jump set is, and they just don't pass consistently well enough to do it as much as the Swedes do. It's not like they're the only team that is trying to do that. They're just the only team that's able to execute it 20 to 30% of the time versus like 10% of the time with some of the other teams.
Right. People see all that attacking. They see like the jump sets and open nets, and they think it's all about, the setting and how athletic they are. It's about how well you can pass. There's no option if you can't pass. So the very first thing that these guys are crushing everybody on is serve receive and putting the ball where they want to, when they want to.
Yeah, it's basically where everybody else in the world is just passing the serve. They're basically bump setting every serve. And that's the amount of control that they have, which is just, it's absolutely wild to watch. And then from there, the athleticism just blows you away, obviously, but it's so well set up with how well they pass. So yeah, I'm really interested when we're done with this to go back and watch the rest of that match. And Qatar's been playing they've been building up to this. They had a pretty weak start to this year, and really this Olympic qualifying period in general. They haven't really made a lot of noise. For those that don't know, they won bronze in Tokyo 3 years ago. Really good team. Just really hadn't had the finishes that you would probably expect from them. It almost kind of seemed like the rest of the world had gotten significantly better, and they had just kind of stayed the same over the last 3 years since they won the bronze in Tokyo. I imagine they probably just started serving the heck out of the ball in the rest of the second set and into the third set. I believe they win the third set like 20-18 or something. So it's quite a quite a game there at the end. But to me, that would be the only way that they're able to kind of hang with and try and score points off of Sweden in that one.
Yeah, 28
but yeah, they've been kind of building into it. They had a few good matchups in Stad when I was there watching in Stad after we lost. They had a really close match that I thought that they were going to win against Molensorm, and I think the quarterfinals. So it was interesting to see them kind of, at least with the last few tournaments before the Olympics started, they were able to kind of build into that a little bit more than their results this entire year have shown, I would say.
Yeah. And how about Los Americanos? Evans and Buttigieg making quick work. This the French team. They got in just because it was the home country, right? France didn't have a top.
So
top
that
top.
French team actually qualified through the European Continental Championship.
Got it.
The other French team, which is Basserel and Lenil, who I would assume that they've played. I haven't seen them play yet, so maybe they're one of the last pools to start, I think.
Yeah, tomorrow versus Wickler and Ellers. Yeah.
Okay, against Ellers and Vickler, yeah. So that team is the team that got in with the host country bid. And I'm not sure how France decided that, if that was just a committee pick. But I believe it's Lenil was a big time indoor. I think he was an opposite maybe for the French national team for a lot of years.
Oof.
That's a super explosive team. They've just been really up and down through their Olympic qualifying. But Crew and Gatarat, who's the team that Miles and Chase played this morning, qualified through the European Continental qualifier, but was also very close to qualifying just by being in the top 17. So they're a pretty good team. I want to say they beat Miles and Chase in Ostrava, I think maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. And then they pretty well handled them in China back in a challenge back in maybe May. So on paper, it looked like a pretty good draw for Miles and Chase just because it wasn't a Sweden or Norway in their first match. But that team had handled Miles and Chase pretty easily the last few times they played, and it was kind of surprising to see how well Miles and Chase just absolutely. I mean, it wasn't even a game halfway through the first and the second set. Like it was pretty impressive how well they played.
Yeah, nice job by those boys. So that puts them at the top of their pool, and that should secure them going to the Olympics, right? You get one win, you get the first win in pool play. Maybe we should do that to start for anybody who hasn't been paying attention to how and why. So could you just give a quick how all the teams get to the Olympics, and then what this pool play format is?
Sure. So the total tournament, which you have right now, is 24 teams total. 17 of those come from the, I guess I would say like the World Tour qualifying route, which is a period of time that started, I think, February of last year. So it's about a year and a half worth of tournaments. And they take the best 12 finishes in challengers and elites count towards your Olympic qualifying points. So if you're in that top 17 by, I think the cutoff was June 10 this year, then you're automatically in. So that takes away 17 spots. The host country gets a spot, which is obviously France. That's Basserel and Lenil. Let's see, it's 18. The winner of the FIVB World Championships, which were this past October, which was the Czech team of Pure Switch. I never know how to say that guy's name. David Schweiner and his partner, the Czech duo. They won the World Championships in Mexico I think it was in October. So the winner of that automatically gets a bid, which brings you to 19. And then there are 5 different continental championships. And the winning team of those continental championships also gets a spot to round out the last 24 teams.
Yeah,
So
Fernando
that's why you see some teams,
Germans.
if you see like Morocco. So Morocco won the African Continental Championship. Sam and Dan from Canada won the Norseca, which is the Central and North America. I think the Capagrossos, maybe the Argentinian boys, I think won the South American, and then Crow and Gatterat, who I think they actually, one of them was injured, but somehow France they still won the European Continental Championship, which got them in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe Asia would be Carricker and Nicolaitis from Australia. So those were kind of your 5 continental championships, and then everybody else was either top 17 by the end of qualifying or world champs, and then obviously the host country. So that gets you to your 24 teams. Only other caveat in that is you can only have a maximum of 2 teams per country. So even if there's a third team, let's say it was a third US team that finished in the top 17, that spot would just trickle down to the 18th team, and that third ranked US team would not get to go, which has happened almost every year on the men's and the women's side. I don't believe, maybe Trevor and Theo were in the top 17 when it was all said and done, but I believe Julia Scholes and Betsy were probably in the top 17, but
I
because
think they were 13th in the world.
because Taryn and Kristen were obviously like number 2 in the world, and Sarah and Kelly were probably number 3 or 4. That spot becomes then a trickle down spot because there can only be 2 teams, which is usually only happens with Brazil and the US at this point.
Yeah. And it's
which is tough. It's a tough way to do it.
The 2 country minimum means that you can't take first of all, you can't take anything away from anybody who goes to the Olympics. But the Olympics is not always all of the best teams in the world or all of the best athletes in the world because of that 2-team maximum for beach volleyball. And I'm sure it happens in other sports as well. We just don't pay attention to them here on this podcast. So.
Yeah. If you look at what tournament is overall the most difficult tournament to win, it would probably be I think it's every other year is World Champs. And that's a 48 team main draw. So it's a bigger event, and you have, I think, like the top 32 ranked teams, and then those other spots go to continents and stuff like that. But that's typically like considered the more difficult event to win, even than the Olympics, I would say.
Yeah, World Championships is legit. Now for the ladies, that was Sarah and Kelly. Were they the ones who won the World Championships, or was that Nussin?
Yep, Sarah and Kelly won World Champs this year in down in Mexico. Yep.
So, I mean, USA Women's, as predicted, as has been happening for however long, and as like predicted with NCAA just getting stronger and stronger and stronger for women's volleyball. It's going to be a regular thing to see a bunch of top 40 in the world teams come straight from the NCAA programs. And it's crazy to see women's volleyball switching a little bit here, but to see the UCLAs, the USCs, and I don't want to leave out LSU, or any of the Florida schools, but to see those women who are pro ready while they're still in college. I know there's one player, Ashley Patterson, and she's playing for USC, and she's
Prater, I think. Yeah.
On the regular basis, like in that mix of getting into the top AVP teams. And that's wild, the amount of preparation that they're getting and the level of competition that's at those practices. I'm still going to call out like UCLA and USC. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Texas. Now that Stein's down there, I think that's going to be another true powerhouse for beach volleyball, which is cool, especially since University of Texas is going to be using ATX Beach as one of their primary training and tournament grounds. So a little shout out to ATX Beach there. Okay. From your experience, since you played all of these guys, I want you to, without massaging their egos too much, give me 3 teams who you would not want to run into early in the tournament. Like the 3 teams that you'd be like, this is just somebody I would rather see in a medal match before I actually have to play them.
Well, I'll leave out Norway and Sweden because those are kind of obvious.
Okay.
I mean, those 2, I think at this point have pretty well established that both over the last 2 to 3 years and also within the last 2 months, which is something I think about a lot when it comes to the Olympics, is not only which teams are ranked highest just throughout the last year and a half, but also who's like, there was 2 Elite 16s within the last 3 weeks and who's hot right now. And Sweden won in Stad and Norway won in Vienna. So not only were those the best 2 teams for the last year and a half, but they would also be the best 2 teams in the last month. Just some, I've always been really impressed with Clemens Wickler from Germany, and his big guy Niels Ehlers, who is absolutely massive. Like he I think is listed at 6'11" maybe, but he is all of 6'11". Like he is a big dude. And there was a couple matches when I was watching them play in when I was watching them play in Stad in Vienna, where it was just like Clemens Wickler looked like the best defender in the world, and he was just scooping everything, super controlled, just always had great control of his body, and he never looked like he was in a hurry, which I think is something super important that people can learn from watching players at the Olympics. Like maybe physically, physically you can't jump as high as Anders Mol, and maybe you can't be as fast as, Ahmed from Qatar, but just the way that they control, they never look like they're moving in full speed. And I think that's, again, something that people can learn a lot from, is just kind of how they control their movements. But yeah, that German team, Ehlers Wickler, I feel like they're due for a couple big, I guess you would call it an upset if they beat Norway or Sweden. But to me, that their record doesn't show necessarily how good they are. So I think that would be a tough matchup for anybody, especially early. I think they're maybe the 4 or 5 seed going into it, so still a high seed, but definitely not somebody you would want to play early in pool. When it comes to some of the like lower ranked, maybe the 3 and 4 seeds in some of the pools, I think Carricker and Nicolaitis, who from Australia, who've had a couple tough matches already. They're kind of a pool of death team. But they're a pretty good team for being, I think, like the 22 seed technically. So that's a good team. Same with Nikolai and Kodafava. You and I were watching them a little bit the other night.
Yeah, 4th Olympics.
Nikolai's in his 4th Olympics. Kodafava's like a kind of, very, very smooth, but just kind of a little bit awkward with how he plays, like almost like a good awkward, I guess. And they move the ball around a lot. And obviously, like, Nikolai's just been here so many times that like this probably doesn't affect him very much to be in the Olympics if this is your 4th time.
Right.
And they're also in
legends. When you think of legends of the sport, it's his name's been here for 15, 20 years. And he's not discussed as like one of the legendary players, but dude has had 4 Olympics. He's been in the top 20 teams for almost 2 decades now, and still crushing. And this is his second partner, because he went to every other Olympics with Lupo, right?
Yeah, and I believe they got a silver, I think, in 2016.
Yeah. And so to not,
he should be in the conversation of the top. Crazy. Yeah, definitely the top 5 blockers ever, I would say. So and he's like 36, I think. Like he's been working the touch of gray pretty good into his beard, so he looks a little bit older, but yeah, he's not, compared to some of the other teams that are up there, even like a Herrera Gavira, who we played in Vienna, who is also just Like they were just lights out. I believe they had a pretty rough match. Trying to think who was this? Bormans de Groot, I think. They played Bormans de Groot and got beat pretty good, which was a little surprising to me. I kind of figured Herrera Gavira, also in their fourth Olympics together, might be a candidate to win that pool. They're in the same pool with Miles and Chase. So that'll be an interesting matchup again. That's Miles and Chase. That's such an interesting pool because I really figured there's a good chance that they could go 0-3, and there was also a good chance that they could go 3-0. Whereas with Miles and Andy's pool, you had the Moroccan guys who qualified through that African Cup, and it was like, okay, probably a guaranteed win, you would think, for all three of those teams.
Yeah, but they've been sliding a little bit. Partain and Bines, they haven't found that rhythm that they had last year and the year and a half ago, where they just came out on fire. They've been struggling to string together a bunch of wins, and they took some time off internationally and from training altogether. And so I wonder if they're in a different rhythm, but they might even be in a similar rhythm to Norway, because Norway just had the injury from Mole, and
Yeah.
he's now just making it back. But it seems like they've hit their rhythm quite a bit quicker coming back into it than Miles and Andy so far. So rooting for them, want them to turn it on and play better. But what do you think they have to do to start really playing better at the Olympics, like now? Because they've got that first loss against Cuba, who Cuba's always this crazy wild card who shows up to maybe 10 events per year, and they just churn out somebody amazing every single quad. You're just like, who is this kid? Where did they come from? Where are they breeding them that they have these 6'10" defenders who can side out at will? It's wild. If they took all of those guys and all of the last like 20 years of Cubans, I bet they would just absolutely destroy it if they showed up to every event on the world tour. That would be scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Miles and Andy, kind of what we're going back to with Sweden. When you watch Sweden, it's Miles, when they were playing really well, they were jump setting and hitting on two at about the same percentage as Sweden was. And now it's just strictly a passing difference in serve receive. At least that's what I think. If you watch their game against Cuba, I think there was maybe 2 jump sets and maybe 3 option swings the whole match. And they just weren't in the position to play that kind of game. And especially that Cuban team, like if you're just playing normal 1-2-3 volleyball, that team is pretty dang good. So if they can find their passing rhythm and get back to that, the style that they want to play, I think they'll be fine. It's just a matter of, again, being able to pass well enough to get some sort of jump set or option or even just the threat of it.
Mm-hmm. All right. And we've got a lot more matches, a lot more volleyball on the way. You know, some of the guys haven't even played yet, but Miles and Partain and Bines facing a Moroccan team. I'll say this. I played against the Moroccan national team years ago thinking like these guys are going to have no idea what they're doing. And they turn out a legit indoor team. Powerful, high quality volleyball. So even though they did come through continental qualifier, I haven't seen them honestly play one single match. I don't think, given the history of their volleyball federation, that it's anything to like go to sleep with. You know, there still has to be, and it's the Olympics, so everybody's going hard and there's high stakes. So they've got to get out of the weeds there and at least get into playoffs and take care of business there. And tell me how third place. So if you win 2 matches, right? So you win 2 matches in your pool. There's 14 pools. You got 2 matches in pool play, and if you win one, you're 1-0. So you're sitting at the top, supposedly the top 2. And then you're basically fighting for your life for that 3-4 spot if you lose the first match. So how does that work? How many third place teams are coming out?
So all of the third place teams come out. The bottom four based on point differential, I should say the bottom 3 seeds based on point differential go into 2 lucky loser games.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be like games that play into the 1 and the 2 seed in a 16 team bracket. Obviously, if you finish last, if you're the 4th team in your 4-team pool, then you're done. So it is possible to win your first match, lose your next 2, and still get 4th if you have a 3-way tie of 1 team at 3-0 and 3 teams at 1-2 would just come down to point differential. So once you get that second win, you're good. You're absolutely golden. There's no way you're not going to break. If you have a pool, which will probably be most pools where you have a 3-0, a 2-1, a 1-2, and an 0-3, which I would expect Miles and Andy's pool to be that. Whether that'll just depend on their matchup against George and Andre. But there should be an obvious 1, 2, 3, 4 in that pool. Chase and Miles pool could maybe be one of those pools that has like a 3-0 and then a bunch of 1-2s. So I would almost say that Miles and Andy are still more safe to make it out, possibly, than Chase and Miles, strictly because they have that weaker 4 seed in their pool. But like you said, is it possible that they could do it? Yep. Are they like, I think like plus 5,000 or plus 50,000, something like that, in underdog Morocco? Yes. But it, they still got to score 21 points. But yeah, if they're able to, if Morocco goes 0-3, then whatever else happens, Miles and Andy would still break. Obviously, you would rather be a 1 or a 2, so you don't have a chance of having to play that play-in game. And it's also going to be interesting now that Qatar upset Sweden, because there's a chance that Sweden could come out as the 2 seed, which could put them against Norway in the quarterfinals, which is something that I don't think anybody really wants. But it kind of goes back to Rio. Yeah. To Rio in 2016, where you had Phil and Nick, who were the consensus number 1 or number 2 team, and then you had Bruno and Alison, who were the other team at the top of the world. And Bruno and Alison lost a match, I think, to a different Cuban team, but one of the 2016 Cuban Olympic team. I think they lost a match to them in pool play. So you had the best 2 teams, Phil and Nick, against Alison and Bruno, playing each other in the quarterfinals, which isn't necessarily what you want if you're just a fan of the sport, but it does. I mean, that's how it goes. It makes things interesting.
Well, let's move on a little bit to this women's side and talking about, is there a possibility of an all USA final a la Carrie Walsh, Misty May, and Jen Kessie and April Ross? Do you think we're going to get to Nuss and Cloth and Hughes and Chang final? It's possible. I think so.
I would be very surprised if those 2 didn't make the semifinals. It would just, I haven't looked at whether they would meet in the semis or if they would meet in the finals if they both win their pool. So that would just be, I would be surprised if they didn't play each other in either the semis or the finals. It'd be sweet if it was the finals, obviously, but I'm not sure how those pools break out into bracket. To know whether that would happen or not. But it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's wild to see 2 U.S. women's teams that are, I think all of those players are under 25, maybe Kelly and Sarah might be closer to 27, maybe my age, I think. But I mean, both of those teams easily have another 2, if not 3 Olympics in them, which is it's tough for any other team on the women's side, to be honest with you. Like if that was the men's Olympics right now with a bunch of 4 guys under 25, I'd be like, man, this is this is tough. I might never get a chance at this. But yeah, it's very impressive. And like you were saying, there's there's so many good teams coming up, but it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to pass one of those two teams if you want to try to make the Olympics in the next quad.
Right. And they are both undefeated. So Kelly Chang and Sarah Hughes beat Hermanova and Stachlova in yesterday, and Nelson Cloth beat Australia, which is a tough team. Mary Ave is a hell of a player. I've seen her play a lot in person. And then, so Taryn and Kristen also beat Bukovic and Bansley from Canada, which I think comes really close to knocking them out, to knocking Canada's 2 team out of the Olympics, because they are now 0-2.
Yeah.
So might be the end of the run for them, but there's a lot of other things that have to shake out first. Do you think we can get an AVP style final with Paredes and Wilkerson?
I would be very surprised if all 3 of those teams didn't. If I were to put money on it, I would have probably those 3 and Duda and Patricia probably would be your top 4 on the women's side, which would be pretty wild, because that means you would have at least one AVP matchup in the semifinal between 2 of those 3 teams, and then possibly another one in the final if everything shakes down right, which is just wild for the women's side of the AVP to look at that and be like, man, we have 3 of the top 4 teams in the world that are playing the Huntington AVP. Like, it's just it's gnarly that the AVP has that big of a stage for them, that those 3 teams come and compete, and it's like, all of these other women's teams are fighting with literally the top teams in the world at AVP tournaments. And it just that's why it's something I think people don't realize when they're watching the Olympics, if they don't really follow volleyball too much, to realize that this exact tournament basically happens 12 to 15 times a year with the same teams. And it's not a once in every 4-year thing that these people are playing each other. And if you have that 12 times in a year, there's usually 8 or 9 different winners, right? So it really just depends on who's playing well during the Olympics. So there's definitely no guarantees that any of those 3 teams make it to the semis. But if I would put money on it, I would definitely have those 3 in my semifinals.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that sounds like the update we all needed. Do you have any other thoughts of anything that you've seen in terms of the coverage so far? And we were talking about, just to introduce everybody here to the beach volleyball app, what Beach Volleyball World is putting out, and the beach volleyball app. Now, we don't have a partnership with them yet, but I know that Sandcast might. So if you're looking for, and maybe the out of system guys as well, so that if you guys are signing up to look at a bunch of older matches that are from the FIVB, could you talk a little bit about the Beach Volleyball World app and where and how all of those matches are being so successful? And I hope the AVP follows suit and takes their own app and records every match and puts it in a place where we can all find it easily. We did discuss a little bit of, I've got to, first of all, I got to high five the AVP on their social media this year. It has seen, and I actually just texted Riley and Madison since you told me, I didn't know that the McKibben brothers were fully in charge of the social media presence now for the AVP, but all year I've been going, they are crushing it. Finally, AVP Beach, like that Instagram account is gold, great interviews, cool highlights with the right interviews. So the editing and the interviews, and just the coverage of it has been fantastic. And I guess I should have known that it was the McKibben brothers for how well they do everything. So I sent them a text and I was like, you guys are just absolutely on fire. And it makes me proud of one part of the AVP. And I think the AVP has been looking for that for a while. I think the players want a little more like pride in the brand and the representation of it. And they're getting it from the McKibben brothers being at the helm of marketing there. So I'm so proud of them, proud of the AVP for recognizing excellence in the video editing and creation. I do wish the Denver coverage was as good as the Huntington coverage. I don't know why we've got to go back to that other Bally's app. The fact that we could watch every match on one YouTube channel from Huntington AVP was awesome. And I really hope that AVP Manhattan Beach is going to be the same type of coverage. That
Yeah.
being said, for all of the beach volleyball diehards out there who want to watch all of the old World Tour matches, how do you go about it?
So there's an app called I don't know if the actual name of the app is just VBTV or if you just search Volleyball TV in your app store or Google Play or whatever you Android people use. And it really is a very well done app. They're constantly adding new stuff. So all of the challenge events, which are kind of the middle tier World Tour events, as well as all of the Elite 16s are on that app. And they're all available on demand. Like the second that the live stream is done, you don't have to wait 5 minutes even. You can just go back immediately and watch whatever games you want on demand. They recently made just about everything searchable by like player 1, player 2 versus player 3, player 4 is the title of everything. So if you will just want to watch Nikolai Lupo, you just type Lupo in the search bar and it has every single match in a challenger or an elite. I think that probably back to the start of 2022. Wow. Which is a lot of matches for a lot of people. So yeah, it's a really good app. They also have contracts with a bunch of the European and I believe even the like India indoor leagues. So if you're interested in watching more like club indoor stuff, also the Volleyball Nations League, the VNL, which is kind of the country versus country indoor stuff. They did some US NCAA beach stuff as well this year, which was pretty cool. And yeah, every challenge and elite event, they have every court live streamed every single match, which is amazing. Travis Mewiter, who most of y'all probably know, as well as Kyle Friend, do a lot of their commentary, and they're actually going to be doing a lot more in-person commentary at the Elite 16s now. So Hamburg is going to be the first one where they're both going, they'll be there in person. They're kind of doing like a little pregame show and then a little postgame like wrap up every day, which will be pretty nice. What else about that? If I were them, I would hope that they would throw some commercials onto some of the Olympic streams on the Peacock app, because to me, that would be a good way to show people where to keep watching these athletes play and not just watch them every 4 years. Right. But yeah, if you're interested in continuing to kind of watch after the Olympics is done, that is where 95% of the people that you're watching in the Olympics play every other week, basically. And at peak times, there's literally a challenger or an elite every single weekend from, April till August or April to September, basically. So it really is. It's a really well done app. The commentary is very good. You don't have to mute your live stream for any reason because of the commentary. So yeah, it's really great. I'm a huge fan of the Volleyball TV app. I believe it's like $7.99 or maybe $9.99 a month now, something like that. So it's pretty good if you're interested in, again, continuing to like follow these storylines of the Olympians.
Yeah. Good coverage by McKibbe's on AVP. Good coverage by VBTV. Sounds like it feels like we're getting the coverage possibilities that junkies who really want to watch the game over and over and over have been looking for. So I think it's a really cool time for beach volleyball. What do you think is going to happen when they come back to Manhattan? That's going to be a week, maybe a week and a half after the finishing of the beach volleyball events in Paris. Do you think they're going to continue the teams that are going to do well? Do you think they're going to be deflated? Or are they going to come back on fire? And fans, are you going to be at the Manhattan Beach? Logan will be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I guess 2021. I honestly don't remember how the timeline went for 2021. But at least on the men's side in 21, we didn't really have any teams that were there for the last few days of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if April and Alex played Manhattan 21. I want to say they didn't, or maybe April played with somebody else, something like that. But yeah, it'll be interesting because obviously there's a little bit more on the line potentially with Manhattan, especially for a lot of them if they didn't play Huntington to try to make it to this league thing in the fall. Because it takes 2 of your 3 best finishes between Manhattan, Chicago, and Huntington. So if you didn't play Huntington, you kind of need to play Manhattan and Chicago. And that's having a week and a half is, it's enough turnaround time that all of those teams should be fine. Definitely, it'll be interesting when they come back because there'll be a lot of the domestic teams that just missed out on the Olympics that'll be hungry to knock those teams off right off of the Olympics and, kind of regain a little bit of their standing after they weren't able to qualify.
And some new teams.
Yeah,
New teams
lots of
rolling
new
out.
teams. Yeah.
Because Try is going to be playing with Wilcox,
Yep.
new young upstart, and Kame Shaw is going to be playing with James Shaw, which is going to be a really complicated team name to say, just in general. Shock and Shaw. But that's going to be interesting to see how they play together. I've seen Wilcox and I saw Shaw, and watching Shaw, you go, oh God, his high line is I would say a threat, for the way he hits it, how high he gets, how flat he hits that high line. Just seeing a couple of those, you go, this kid's got something. And so it'll be interesting to see Kane playing behind him with maybe some renewed energy and a little less exhaustion from the World Tour burn and the expectations that Try and Kame had. It's got to be probably be really nice to feel fresh and take that weight of expectations off of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting too for the Olympic teams to not that Manhattan is a small little tournament by any means because it's the biggest tournament in the US, but just I would imagine that there would be that little bit of complacency maybe coming back after, doing something that you've dreamt your entire life of doing. And then you come back again. Manhattan is the biggest tournament we have, but still coming off of, the venue, the stadium, all of the hype that's around it, and then kind of coming back to real life a little bit at the next tournament. But obviously, for if you win a medal at the Olympics, it's just kind of a victory lap, you would think, in Manhattan, and you probably aren't too worried about how you finish anyways, which would be a pretty sweet experience. But yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully the AVP is able to ride that momentum off of the back of the Olympics. Tokyo obviously was a little odd, even though we had an American team that won the Olympics, but just with all the weird COVID stuff, it wasn't quite the, kind of the return and the big marketing boom that they were probably hoping off of a team winning the gold medal. So hopefully they're able to capture that really well coming off the Olympics this year, and they're able to, continue to build those storylines, and we're able to kind of ride that and not just pick it up every 4 years.
Yeah. And like we said, we got some better apps. We got some better people doing the marketing. So hopefully we can keep riding that and then parlay that into some bigger, more consistent events and a little more profit for the AVP. So getting that going. Well, we're not going to keep everybody too long because they should be watching these matches. But guys, we're going to try to run these updates as frequently as you can. I know we took a little bit of a break from our podcast and live streams. We've been super busy running camps nonstop. We're running smaller camps, bigger camps, level specific camps. If you have a court and a group of players who are at the same level, we can bring a coach or multiple coaches out to you. Just get in touch, email support@betteratbeach.com. But if you want to come to one of our already scheduled camps, we are going to be running more than 50 camps in the next 12 months between all levels, all genders, and all locations. But just as a quick reminder, August 9th to 11th, we are in Austin. Would love to see you there. I know that's supposed to be hot, but guess what? It's a night camp. We're going to be playing under the lights for 2 days. 23rd to the 25th of August, we are in both Huntsville, Alabama, and Hermosa Beach, California. September 6th through 8th, we're in New Orleans. September 13th to 15th, we're at Highland Brewery in Asheville, North Carolina, which is actually a really awesome, fun venue. So if you've ever never checked out Asheville, North Carolina, which is an absolute destination town, you should. And then our big bangers, our big exciting ones, Miami, Florida, September 23rd to 27th, with Queen and King of the Court tournament to follow. Ton of international stars there hanging out with us, coaching, and you'll be able to see a live King of the Court event with some of the world's best.
Which, if you've never seen one of those King of the Court events, they are like the most entertaining form of volleyball to watch. It's just like, it's constant action. There's a clock. I don't want to explain how the entire thing works, but there's a running clock. It's just constant action. It's a good balance between a super competitive, serious tournament, but also a little bit of an exhibition type feel. But it's a really cool event to go to, especially because that's about your only time to see a lot of international players play on U.S. soil. So if you've ever wanted to see kind of what the next level looks like beyond an AVP tournament, the King of the Courts are really, really fun, and especially I'm sure in Miami it'll be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. So that's September 23rd to 27th, guys. Come check that out, and then spend 7 days with us over Halloween weekend in St. Pete. Well, yeah, Halloween weekend from October 27th to November 3rd at pretty much our flagship camp location, which is the Postcard Inn in St. Pete Beach.
My birthday camp.
That's your birthday camp.
Yeah.
Come celebrate Logan's birthday with us, guys. Yeah, do it.
We both have birthday camps this year.
That's right.
We both turn 28 at our camps. Sweet.
Don't start with me about this age stuff. And if you guys want to come hang out at an all-inclusive resort in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, links are below and around this video and around this podcast. So go ahead and check it out. We would love to hang out with you. Logan's going to be at just about every event he can be at, along with myself and our rockstar staff of coaches and players. And finally, just want to give you guys a reminder that our Complete Coach Academy is up and running. We have awesome mastermind meetings every week, and you get a ton of tools from our camp manuals to our practice plans, how to teach, how to diagnose problems and fix problems within your team, as well as your club. So the Complete Coach Academy, that is also one of the ways that you can train to become a Better at Beach certified coach so that you can eventually come and coach some camps with us. So if you're looking for, in addition to your coaching career, or maybe a new coaching career, the fastest way to get started on that is by starting in the Complete Coach Academy. Links are below and around this video. And if you want us to analyze your video, so if you want me, Logan, who was just recently competed in Justad Elite 16, so among the top 16 teams in the world on that weekend, he will analyze your videos. He will watch them, sit there with you, and help you and coach you. And he's also in our app as well, where when you take our courses, you get to submit any of the videos and drills that you do with your own videos. And then we go in there and we coach for you. So if you've ever wanted national team players and coaches, AVP players and coaches looking at your game and saying, hey, what can I do better? This is the way. Complete player program, Better at Beach. You can find it on our website. And below on this YouTube video, you can see, you can at least get a taste for it with 2 standalone programs. One of them is our 60-day max vertical program, and the other one is our Fix Your Arm Swing in 21 days program. Those are both around here. So if you want to check it out, more than welcome. If you just want to keep listening to our angelic voices, we appreciate you. And get on our email list. And if you're on our email list, you get sent a ton of lessons and free advice anyway. So just want to make sure you guys know everything and anything that's going on with our company and with beach volleyball, and we're happy to update you on all of it. Logan, back to training.
Yep.
Back to training, back to watching more volleyball and scouting all those Olympic matches so we can knock them out next time we see them on the World Tour. All right. That is it for me and Logan. I am Groot Weber. I'm going to make that nickname stick. We are signing off here. We will see you at an AVP in FIVB online or at one of our camps. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the sand.